Now, as we move on, one of the questions that we received on registration from delegates today was around university pathways, as in what are those pathways that are available to students after they've studied esports at college. So I'm pleased to welcome from College of Esports, our official university partner, Professor Philip Wilson, and from MidKent College, Camilla Maurice, for this fireside chat as they ponder the question, how does esports support progression to higher education?
Fireside chat. Where's the fire? And the sofa. Hello, everybody. Camilla Maurice from MidKent College. Just want to say thank you, Callum and the team, for an amazing job today. It's been brilliant. My role at the college currently is Employer Engagement Manager, but in a previous role, I was Curriculum Manager for Business, IT and Esports. And our journey really stemmed from making contact with Callum, saying, what are you doing? I want to do it. And then literally launching from one group on a level 3 programme last year to 4 groups this year. Currently, I have around about 75 students, all completing level 2 and level 3 courses. Also, as part of that, we have also launched MidKent Mariners and MidKent Medieval, who are our in-house esports association. 9 teams across those 2 associations that all battle it out every week against probably most of you lot in here. So we'll see you after half term. I think really what's quite exciting is in my new role now, from stepping away from the curriculum specifically, is looking at where students go, what's their end goal, where do they progress to after they've completed this fantastic course. And as we've already heard today, students learn a variety of skills when they're on this programme, but actually where do they go with those skills? The jobs aren't obvious, are they? They're not just there. There's still more that we need to do to be able to show that. So my role now is really being able to connect with employers, connect with industry, and make that happen for our students. I think I'll over to you now.
And you've been to come and see us as well.
I did, yes, I did come and see you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Callum. So the question is really around, progression around BTEC, progression to higher education. I always like to refer back to the World Economic Forum, which I describe as the United Nations for business. And if you look at their top 10 skills for 2025, I think that really enhances the fact that the BTEC esports course is really, really on the money. Not just going to university to do an esports course, but I think much wider. So analytical thinking and innovation, active learning and learning strategies, complex problem solving, critical thinking and analysis, creativity, originality and initiative, leadership and social influence, technology use, monitoring and control, technology design and programming, resilience, stress tolerance, flexibility, and reasoning, problem solving, and ideation. So I think that if you look at the 20 modules in the BTEC, I think that they prepare you not just for coming to universities like ourselves, but a much broader and wider set of qualifications at university. So I think that when I'm talking to 15-year-olds and certainly the parents of, I say go and do that qualification, because often the parents go, what, gaming? Why would want my child to go and do a BTEC in gaming? I actually think that it's taking their passion and drive for what they spend a lot of their time doing and using that as an engine to go off and be successful to do their level 3, and then obviously they come then so hopefully to ourselves.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point actually, because going to university isn't for every student. It's not the answer for everyone. And actually, for those learners that really enjoy being on a BTEC programme in esports and learning those technical vocational skills required for the world of work, actually all of those skills that you listed there make somebody super employable. And that's really what we're trying to do, isn't it? We're trying to get young people into jobs, into careers, to be able to contribute to the economy, and obviously the bigger picture as part of that. So I think it's really important that on our programmes, we are supporting that skills development into careers. And that's where I think perhaps more work has to be done in us being able to do that more with our students on our programmes, for sure. I'm just going to check my questions quickly. Hang on. Talk about preparing. Some of the things that we've noticed, especially on our programmes and with the careers that a lot of our young people want to go into, it's not always, I want to be a pro player, I want to go and play Rocket League professionally. There are a few of my students that definitely want to go and do that, so big up the challengers. But actually what we're looking at is the skills development into careers that are outside of the industry in particular. So students on an esports program, for example, will still learn the skills needed to work in marketing, even if they're not working in the esports industry, and that's really important. And what was so nice when we came to the College of Esports was that students were learning those skills in their own work experience environment. And I think that was one thing that I think has to be harnessed a little bit more, that everyone has their own role, everyone is learning consistently, not just what the curriculum says, but everything else that's kind of wrapped around that.
Yeah, and the way that we teach, we've got a very diverse set of programs. International esports business with digital media, with digital marketing, coaching and management, games art, games design, games development. We've got a very, very broad portfolio. And what we do is we use the esports as the teaching lens. And so our students will come in and do 3 years and say international esports business and digital marketing. That's like one flavour of chocolate in the chocolate box, but they'll spend half of their time outside of the academic straitjacket, spending probably about 10 hours a week doing other things. So, for example, we've had one of our students who leads who's on the event management program, he's now in our broadcast suite where we've got a virtual reality studio, the same as the BBC and all the broadcasters. And he's never seen any of that before he came to ourselves, but he came to do an events management degree. But he walked into that facility and the light bulb went off. And that's the good thing with esports, is it's actually such a broad supply chain industry. It's not just about playing in the game or the events. It pretty much touches every single business sector globally, is that students can come in and really broaden their horizons. So they come in with, I want to do esports, but actually it gives them the ability to try lots of different business sectors, and particularly because young people now will have a portfolio career, they'll have 3-4 careers in their career. It's not just about educating students their first job. It's really important that they have a transferable degree which they can then use when they're 25, 30 and 40 years old. So we do teach very, very differently. And please feel free to contact me directly, and we'll talk about our school and college partnership program. That was a plug.
Excellent. I think one thing that I've always been really keen on with my students and with my girls in particular is actually about being able to give them the opportunity and empower them to forge out their own careers. So when we have young people in our classrooms that demonstrate a particular skill or enjoy a particular element of their course, we really try and empower them to take that further. I've recently taken on an esports technician as part of an initiative at college to support skills development and progression in the esports industry. And she's really just come on and flown with it and really got involved in team management and our social media channels and talking to other teams and setting up scrims and everything that you would associate with what perhaps I and other tutors might have done on a Wednesday afternoon. She's doing that all week. But she also does that on top of her college work, and also working part-time for a gaming charity where she supports young people with mental health challenges and social anxiety and connecting with the wider world through Minecraft. So she's actually using a number of different skills in a number of different formats and performing outstanding in all of them. She's got no desires to go to university. She actually wants to head out into the esports industry. She's got all of these connections now, which she's forged on her own. And I'm supporting her and mentoring that going forward. And I think when you have young people that start to show an interest in a particular skill or element within your esports program, I think it's really important to support that and help them make those connections, because it's tough out there. It's hard enough for a young person who has limited experience to get a job generally. Imagine doing that in an industry now that's just kind of reaching its peak and getting it to where it needs to be. And so I think that needs to be celebrated. It's also worth noting as well that esports programs, both at a college level and an HE level, does increase participation hugely. We've seen an increase in attendance and retention at college purely based on the programme. And that's not just for students that are studying esports, that's students from other programmes who are participating in champs who are also attending their courses full time. And as Loughborough said earlier, if they don't do their work, they don't play. It's simple as that. But it's amazing how esports has become so accessible, and the hook that drives students to participate in a wider set of career opportunities and skills. I don't know if it's me next, or is it you? It might be me.
Success stories of students.
Ah, well, I did kind of mention Molly. She's probably watching. So yeah, Molly is my technician who's watching today, who's one of my success stories. Out of my first cohort of students that are due to complete this year, about a quarter of those are applying to university, some to College of Esports, some to more local colleges to where we're based in Kent. But the majority of my students are going off into the world of work. They are looking for apprenticeships, but I know that those are few and far between in this particular industry, and it would be great to see how changes in qualifications and reforms that are happening over the next few years might change that opportunity for young people. But actually what's really nice is that we have those chats with students that come through the door on our open events, and we say to them, what do you want to be? And a lot of them do say, I want to be a gamer. And they go, yeah, this isn't the course for you, but what if you could play games and do all of this at the same time? And so raising those aspirations and empowering those young people have been really key to our success at MidKent College for sure.
Yeah, I think what we try and do is we try and take the pressure off students. You know, when they're 17, asking a 17-year-old what they want to do with the rest of their life, I just think it's too much pressure. So we say, come and do a degree which will get you out of bed every day for 3 years, attack life at 1,000 miles an hour, get your degree, but get the work experience while you're here. You know, a degree is merely an entry ticket to the job market. It won't get you a degree, so it won't get you a job. It just means you can actually apply for the role. And what we do is we actually spend half the student time, it's around about 20 hours a week, actually working with students to get all those additional qualifications. So, for example, our esports organisation is a separate limited company, and we've given that to the students to run it. So our students can run their own esports organisation for 3 years. We've got our own broadcast TV sort of station, if you like, that we've set up, and the students are running that. So really, it's about giving them evidence and track record and giving them that inspiration of what they can do. And the interesting thing with esports and the world in general is that there'll be jobs they can apply for when they leave that don't even exist now. So it's really just about keeping them motivated. And we're benefiting from lots of great work that's being done in the room, literally from a standing start. We've had, at the end of the UCAS deadline a few weeks ago, we've already had 400 applications for September, and we'll continue on to recruit, and that's across all our broad suite of degree programs. The way we've designed our programs is that we haven't taken existing sports management degree and shoehorned esports into it, because students spot that a mile off. What we've done is we've started from scratch and gone to the employers and the ecosystem. So what do you need for our students to be able to learn and to know? And then we've worked backwards from there. So that's why our degree programs are very different. We've also mapped the pedagogy and approach to the BTEC as well. So actually, for students coming off the BTECs, is a very natural cognitive process. It's a very, very smooth process from a learning perspective. We've done that on purpose as well. So everything feels very, very familiar. And we sort of are standing on the shoulders of the great work that everyone's doing in the room here on the BTEC.
And how many students do you have on roll currently before the new intake in the autumn?
Yeah, so we start off with a dinky-do cohort, to be honest, just under 50 students across 4 degree programs. And in this September, we'll probably take in, I think, probably around 250, 300 students. We want to maintain our boutique nature. We'll probably cap our London campus. We're based at the Velodrome in London, probably cap that around to 1,500, 2,000 students, but we are going to be opening up around the country in different locations as well. You know, teaching small class sizes, it's all about the individual student. Very, very pastoral, all about well-being. We even give our students, you know, yoga and Pilates and things like that to help them decompress, because if they can't do that, then life becomes difficult.
And am I right in that you're introducing some new programs as well this year?
We are indeed, yeah. This is going well.
Is this an interview now?
Yeah, so games design, games art, games development. I think that it's really important that we sort of embrace those areas, not on the same high end that Confetti do. And we all say to students at open days, if you want to do real high-end production, you need to come here as well. And there are other good courses around. And through that process, we have to, on a one-to-one, identify, are we right for those students? You know, some students might like the idea of doing an esports degree, but actually they might be better off going to do something else.
Excellent. I think we might have some time for some questions, though, I think, actually.
Just right on cue.
There we go.
So I don't know if everyone can see those degrees behind, but these are our courses. So we've got coaching and management, international esports business, and then we've got various flavours of international esports business, so events management, digital marketing, digital media, and then the three that Camille just asked me to recite. So again, we've got a nice, perfectly formed suite of programs there, which I think really complements the work they're doing on the BTEC. And we brought in some units that no one else is really doing, things like a unit on online monetization, because the reality is when you go for a job, your employer will want you to be able to do that. Things like intellectual property and media law, because that's what your employer is going to want to know that you know about and got experience. So we are trying to, broaden the horizons, but also bring in traditional academic subjects into the esport. I think that esports can cross-pollinate and learn a lot from other industries as it professionalises. There's been a lot in the media recently about, some organisations going bump and what have you. I actually think that it's a positive. I think like all industries have to shed their skin, whether it's the motor industry, what have you, it goes through phases. And, I think that esports industry, if it's time for a correction, then I think absolutely. I think now is a good time. And the work that we're doing, and obviously you guys and girls on the BTEC, so bringing that professionalism and that structure and standardisation of skills into the industry, which will only give it sort of stability and longevity.
If I can just jump in, thank you both very much so far. One question for each of you, and then we'll open up again so that we can have some questions from the audience. First of all, Camilla, in terms of your role now at MidKent, you've made that shift, haven't you, from creating the programmes and starting up, and you've been on that journey that we've been talking about today. So again, as somebody for people to connect with who's really been on that journey around the BTECs and the student champs and developing facilities, Camilla's been through that firsthand. But you've made a shift now into a new role, and what I'd really love to explore more, given that we're talking about the lens and the progression to higher education, is can you tell us a little bit about some of the work that you're now doing with employers? And what I'd really like to shine a bit of a light on is that it's not just about connecting the students to the employers. A lot of the employers that are out there, they actually need to learn about this ecosystem. So have you had any experiences of going to pre-existing networks or stakeholders in the organisation and saying, by the way, were you aware that we run an esports program and here's what we do and here are our students, and therefore let's bring you on that journey with us as well?
Yeah, definitely. When we first started on this journey, I had a really big challenge in trying to do a bit of myth busting about what we actually did. And then moving over into my newer role is actually knocking on the doors of employers and saying, did you know we did this, and this is what the students do and this is what they come out with? And actually being able to then forge those relationships, because you're quite right, it's not about just hooking up an employer with a student. And those of you who work in education know with T-level programs, there's this huge emphasis of placement now for students and valid work experience, or industry experience, as they like to call it. But it's actually about forging relationships and getting employers to understand what their role is in being able to develop these young people, because it's all very well putting somebody into go out and work with an employer 1 or 2 days a week, but the employer has to be invested in that student and take them on like they're a part-time member of their team, and really develop skills with them that are relevant to the industry they're working in. Now, with esports in particular, in my region, down in the southeast, there's not a lot of esports opportunity, really, and a bit of work that I'm hoping to be doing is to change that. And I want to bring Confetti X to Kent. Actually, that's what I want. That's my goal. But actually, it's opening the doors and the conversations to other employers where esports students can go in and do a similar set of work, like in media, like in marketing, IT, business. And creative industries, and actually then forge a career for themselves that way. So a lot of the work is about educating the employers as well as educating my senior leaders in what esports is really all about.
Recently this year, I went to one of the open days at College of Esports, where there was a variety of talks and presentations, and really well attended by parents is one thing that really resonated with me, and that real genuine understanding from parents that some knew about the industry, some were complete novices and were coming along and hearing about esports for the first time. So just coming back to yourself, Philip, around that work that you do on enrolment, on that information and guidance, and one of the things that really resonated with me was your tri-curriculum. So I just wonder if you could share a bit more about that tri-curriculum offer with students, and then therefore how that is actually helping the students. So we've got our degree, we've got our piece of paper, but then everything else that you do with them, how is that supporting them onto those careers?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that, we do what we call vocational application of knowledge. So for us, we want people to leave being able to do things. No one will ask you at a job interview, sit down and give me 3,000 words on to how to knock a nail in. They'll say, go and prove and show that you can do it. So I suppose we're a bit more polytechnic in old money rather than Russell Group. But our tri-curriculum is really about making our students world ready. It requires a big commitment from the students because the actual contact times between 20 and 25 hours a week, which is a lot more than your standard 10 to 12 hours. And so your degree is a component of that, but we do a whole wide range of activities around mental and emotional resilience, around well-being, how to personally decompress. We also do things like how to operate in the corporate world. We're not a finishing school, but actually it's really important people understand about the different nuances, not just about working in this country, but if you have meetings with people who are, say, in South Korea or Japan or other parts of the world, there are very different cultural approaches to certain types of environments, and our students are going to be and will be global citizens. So it's about preparing them for that. We've also run in parallel a number of other certificates. So we wrote with sports leaders who are here today a great sort of level 3 qualification that our school and college partners we offer to, and it's around sport leadership through esports. So again, they'll leave with a degree, but qualification and leadership. We also bring people in from Sky and from BBC to do a 28-week course in media and PR and comms in their second year. And as they go through, they'll continually build up as well. So it requires a lot of commitment from the students. You can't just drift in and out. We expect very, very high attendance, and we do push our students quite hard.
And I think that really shone through, and lots of parents resonated with that. That if you come into university, be prepared to work. It's that gateway, isn't it, into the workplace. Thank you both so much. A really insightful chat. And at that point, I'd just like to open up. If anyone has any questions about higher education, progression, careers, and any of the work that our panelists are doing, then please give us a shout. Stick your hands up, and we'll go from there. Thank you. Yeah, come to yourself. I'm not sure we've got a microphone, but give us a shout. We can hear you.
Professionalism in the kind of industry and developing those pathways. What are you doing at a higher education level towards developing the teachers of the future in terms of getting esports teachers properly and postgraduate kind of education?
Yeah, and we are currently putting frameworks in place for level 7 for postgraduate education for our student progression of our degrees, but also people who are maybe 30 years old and want to change careers and go into esports or gaming. If I think about one of the things that keeps me awake at night, staff recruitment is one of them, and we're sort of driving the train and putting the track down in front of us. And I know that esports and gaming lecturers don't grow on trees because it's a relatively new academic environment. So the way that we deal with this, we have people with PhDs who are from maybe a computer science background but with passion for esports and gaming. People who've taught digital media, digital marketing in university, who then bring their skill sets but have got a passion for the industry. We bring in people who've taught at FE level, and that I really like that because they've got a very different pastoral approach and very different sort of work ethic, if I dare say that. Hopefully don't offend anyone in HE. And then we have the practitioners. So it's about having that blend. Like in any team, you need left back, right back, goalkeeper, centre forward, what have you. We are... and I've had this issue before in another institution where our academics aren't growing on trees. So what we have to do is we have to also grow our own. And so we've got an internal, I call it an academic greenhouse, where we bring people on who might be teaching at BTEC. I mean, we've just recruited 3 more staff who are really BTEC focused. but they want to go into a career in HE. So they've got the technical skills, the passionate about the BTEC that they're teaching, but we need to transition them into the teaching and learning approach under the QAA and Office for Students rather than sort of Ofsted. But it is a challenge, and we'll be okay for September. But I think that as we grow, it's one of the real bottlenecks that we have, because you can only recruit students if you've got really good staff as well. So I'm hoping I don't offend anyone, but we are recruiting really heavily at the moment. So if anyone is looking to move into HE, not just on teaching but technical side, then please reach out.
Thank you very much. And just to pick up on that as well, I think the esports industry at the moment is, and I mentioned this earlier, it's unlike any industry that I've seen really. And I think where we have a real opportunity, given academic research and higher education institutions, there aren't many industries that you can genuinely contribute to the first of its kind research. And we have that opportunity in esports, and it's happening now. So I think that's a really, really interesting angle on that we're contributing and we're growing. As the industry is growing, it's evolving so quickly. And as a result of that, you mentioned education, you mentioned the need for jobs. One thing that many students don't realise, and I'm starting to see this passion emerge now through what we're doing in schools and colleges, and then what students are doing at higher education, is they're going, well, the esports BTEC's grown so much. You know, we've now got over 40 degree programmes in esports in the UK. Who's teaching all of these degrees and what's their background? And we're not yet in a position where we've had a young person come through the level 3 BTEC qualifications in esports, progress off to higher education, to study at university, potentially then onto a master's level, or to go on to develop a teaching qualification, and to then come back and teach. So lots of young people now, and I would say the young people that you work with, they're going to discover this passion for the first time, and they're going to be on that journey with us. And actually, one of the key areas that we need jobs in the country is education, as we know. So there's also a real opportunity for us to transform some of our students into teachers as well, which I think is a good.
If I may add, there's a big responsibility on all of us in the room here, because I think that as the industry moves from not quite the Wild West, that's unfair, but it's trying to find its feet and with the equilibrium in different areas. And we're sort of creating the higher education and also level 3 teaching and learning, and so what should be in there. And so there's a big responsibility. We're setting up an international centre of esports research in London, which would be like an openware, like for everybody. We want the best brains from industry, from academia, to inspire, but be like a melting pot, a thinking tank to invest in that. I think one of the challenges, normally in higher education, we have research-informed teaching. So an academic will go away for a year, write a book, and come back and tell everyone about it. Things that esports is changing every day. So our research-informed teaching has to be a just-in-time type of approach, and you need a certain type of academic appetite to be able to work in that environment, because it's changing so often and so quickly. I actually say it's one of the hardest areas to teach.
Yeah, thank you both very much. A really insightful panel. Camilla and Philip, thank you.